zone.
Hello, this is Kendall from Team Top Decking, and I'm here with you today with a Invoked Psy-Frame deck. It's a deck that I'm trying out, and it seems to work pretty good, but I'm first running the basic 3 Alistair for the Invoked engine, and then this goes to Psy-Frame monsters, which will be Psy-Frame Gamma at 3. He's good for monster negations, which is big in this format. Psy-Frame Beta to help you negate direct attacks on you, because this deck really has a problem with getting ran over unless you have ways to get Omega or Beta on the field to protect you. Next is one of your searchers, Psy-Frame Alpha. It's pretty much used to thin out the deck and get other Psy-Frames that you need at the time, or your spell or trap cards. Next is Delta. He's in there to really hurt pendulum decks or field cleaners, like Dark Hole, or like Reasoning, cards that people are going to be using to thin out decks themselves. I only play one Psy-Frame Epsilon because he's really not that big. He can't stop Strike or Warning, something a lot of people use, but he can stop like D-Barrier to help you still be going into Synchro Summons. Next is the main monster for Psy-Frames, which is Psy-Frame Driver. I don't run Multi-Threader because it just seems like a dead card, so I still stick with the original 3 Psy-Frame Drivers. Next we're on to spells, and back to the Invoked engine. I run 2 of the Magical Meltdowns, mainly good for searching Alistair, and then the main fusion of the deck, which is Invocation. I want to see this as much as I can, that's why I run 2, but it seems like 3 kind of kills the deck. Next is a way to get Alistair into the grave, but still more draw power for the deck, which is Wonder Wand. I wouldn't recommend 3, because with all the Psychic type monsters you play, it can be a dead card, but good for MST fodder. Next is this field spell for Psy-Frames, just Psy-Frame Circuit. It is used to help you automatically Synchro Summon into Omega and get rid of your opponent's hand and recycle your banished stuff, like your banished Alistairs, or Invoker monsters, and then Psy-Frame Overload as well. And then next is Psychic Field Zone. I use this to put monsters back into the grave just so I can Synchro Summon easier, since you banish a lot of your monsters in this deck. And then I run 1 Terraforming. Since I run 2 Psy-Frame Circuits and 2 Magical Meltdowns, I feel you don't really need that much search for the field spell, since Psy-Frame Alpha can search for Psy-Frame Circuit, so I run 1 to try to get to the Magical Meltdowns when I need to. 1 Raigeki, another field cleaner. It's just there to help you in case you're being overran by a whole bunch of monsters and can't stop them all with Beta. Soul Charge, really great because you can use like Psy-Frame or Psychic Field Zone to return the monsters, and then use Soul Charge and go into another Synchro Summon, all in pretty much 1 turn. And then Pot of Duality is just used to try to get to certain Psy-Frame monsters. I'm thinking about replacing Duality, but for now, Duality's the best I can think of to have into the deck for more deck thinning. Next is Traps. I don't run any Invoked traps, but there's only 1 that we know of for sure, but I do run 3 Psy-Frame Overloads. Your main way to banish, and it banishes like monsters you can't get over, or face down spell or traps face down, so your opponent can't use them anymore because they have really no way to bring them back when they're face down banished. And it's a search card if it gets destroyed. And then I go into King's Consonant, or then I have 3 King's Consonants. It's good for negating attacks and Synchro Summoning and helping you keep monsters on the field. You don't have to Synchro Summon, but you can still negate the attack, so if you get it first turn, you can still set it and pretty much bluff them out with King's Consonants. And then my last is Drowning Mirror Force. Just another way to get monsters off the field and still have a fighting chance to come back. That's all for the main deck. Now is the extra deck. I run 3 Psy-Frame Lord Omegas. You can play the deck at 2. I just find 3 to be more helpful in case Omega gets Kaiju'd or Solemn Striked or Warninged. Then I play 2 Psy-Frame Zetas. He's pretty much there to get rid of monsters that can't be destroyed by battle while still keeping your field clean. So like Crystal Wing. If they've already wasted their monster negation, you can use Zeta to get rid of Crystal Wing and find a way to get around it soon. Or like Dialga. You can use Zeta to get over non-destroyable monsters. And then my main monster that I go into with King's Consonants is Crystal Wing. He's pretty much him with Mechaba and pretty much any of the other Invocation fusions. Keeps the board pretty clean and pretty easy to just OTK people with. Then in case I'm in hard circumstances, I can sometimes use Black Rose to just nuke the field after Synchro Summoning and use like Psy-Frame Overload or other cards to do all my searching with. And then now for the Invoked monsters, I run 2 Mechaba since most of your monsters, or all your Psy-Frame monsters are light. It's easy to go into and more negation to keep stuff off the field. And then I run 1, I don't even know how to say his name. 1 Burgatrio. I'm running him because people are saying Infernoids are going to be big. So I'm just having him in there to banish Infernoid stuff. Like, pretty much they're big monsters, so they can't bring them back. It's pretty much all he's in there for. 1 Raijin, because of Wind Witches. That seems to be big, so it's easy to use their materials to summon Raijin and just flip their stuff face down. And then Magalenica. I use him because of Zeus. He's just a big power wall, and if you have him and Omega on the field, it's hard for Zeus to come over, especially if you still have Alistair in your hand, so you can make sure he's a 4,000 attack power monster. And next is Cactus, to try to get rid of like Toad or any Mermail stuff, because that's supposedly a big deck. He's just good for defense, because you can still attack with him when he's in defense. And then next I go into Invoked Alzheimer. I pretty much use him because I do a lot of synchro summoning in this deck with like Omega and stuff, so if they're destroyed, I can still just banish them to get him out, and then use like Omega if there's another one on the field to get the banishment back. It's a way to just recycle resources, and he's a good, easy field cleaner. And that's all for the deck. Shoutouts for Team Samurai for the playmat, and that's all.